Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Next Via AI podcast. Today's guest is somebody really a topic that is really near and dear to my heart. We didn't really talk about that, but I am just a total pet person. At one point I had three dogs and three cats living on a boat. So this is totally my world. So today's guest is someone who has really transformed the way we think about pet health. Dr. Judy Morgan is the founder of Dr. Judy Morgan's Naturally Healthy Pets. Really a business rooted in holistic care, functional nutrition, something that we often think about maybe for ourselves, but not so much for our pets. So I'm really curious to hear a bit more of her decades of veterinary wisdom that led her down this path to being an author, educator, uh, obviously fierce advocate for treating our pets with the same intentionality and love that we bring to our own wellness. So welcome to the podcast, Judy.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's take us back a little bit, back to the beginning as far back as you want to go. What was the journey that led you to create naturally healthy pets? Was there a defining moment that you realized I have to take this path?
Naturally Healthy Pets was a bit of an accident, but there's a lot of accidents along the way that brought me there. So I decided I wanted to be a veterinarian when I was about 12 or 13 years old. I had a show pony that was having difficulty walking, and my trainer's daughter was an equine veterinarian, and she was visiting for the summer, and she said, hey, there's a surgery I can do on your pony that won't make him so you can ride him, but it'll make him so he can be comfortable out in the field and just live out his life with his pony friends. And we were like, okay, we're all in for that. And she let me assist with the surgery. We did it right there on the
Wow.
farm, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And so I never varied from that path. When I went to veterinary school, I went to University of Illinois, so Midwest, very traditional, early 1980s. There was no such thing as talking about holistic anything.
Hmm.
So very, very traditional. And I did that for my first 10 years of practice, and I absolutely hated it. I almost quit veterinary medicine. I was just like, I cannot talk about fleas and heartworms and vaccines one more day. Done. And I just, I wasn't working for somebody who was very nice. I actually got fired for being pregnant. All
Oh
that.
my.
You could do that in 1989, by the way,
Yeah.
with no repercussions. And so, about 10 years into my career, this pamphlet came in the mail, and it was talking about veterinary orthopedic manipulation. And it talked about how we could help our patients heal better and faster after surgeries and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I don't do all these orthopedic surgeries, but my business partner does. Maybe I could help, in some way. So I took the course. I get there and I discover we're talking about chiropractic. And I'm like, I don't even know if I believe in this, but we paid for it and I'm here, so I'm going to do this. And I stuck it out. And my very first client back in the office was this 95-pound dog that suddenly couldn't walk. Fine the
Oh,
day
wow.
before. And I'm like, well, I got this new tool. I'm going to give it a try. And so I did my thing with the dog. I also gave it a shot of steroids because I was too scared that it wasn't going to work. And literally 2 minutes later, I see the dog run down the hallway. Now, this dog was carried in, and it runs down the hallway. And I looked at my technician and I said, what did you do? Because I gave a sub-Q injection. That wasn't going to work in 2 minutes.
Right.
I said, what did you do to the dog? They're like, we opened the door and the dog ran out. And I went, oh my God, I just cured this dog with this chiropractic thing. How'd that happen? And so from there, I was hooked, and I was like, "What else can I learn?" And I looked at everything. I looked at homeopathy, raindrop therapy, color therapy, essential oils, acupuncture, food, like you name it. I was in. But what really hooked me was traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, and in particular food therapy. So from that point on, my practice we did a lot of things, but food therapy is really my niche, because you can heal so many things with the right
Hmm.
food, which I'm sure you know from a human standpoint. So diet has a lot to do with what goes on in our life. Um, so my practice became very holistic, and my name got out there. And when I wrote my first book, I didn't realize that, I thought you write a book, everybody just buys it. Isn't that how it works? It doesn't. You have to promote it. And I self-published, so nobody else was gonna. And you know what? Publishers don't promote for you anyway. You still have to do the work.
Yeah.
So I made a Facebook page and I started doing all this stuff to promote the book, and my name got out there and people started coming. And eventually people started coming from up to 7 hours away. Like people were
Wow.
driving seven. I had one client from Ohio. She would get up at 4 in the morning. She had an 11 o'clock appointment. She'd stay for a couple of hours, and then she'd turn around and drive home. I was like, man, you people are like solid. Like, I love this. And so, because we had so many people coming from so far away, and I was using all these natural products that weren't readily available, it's like, I need a way for these people to be able to get these and not have to drive 3 to 7 hours to get what
Right.
they
Yeah.
need. And so, we started a rudimentary website and had those products on there. And then we actually started in our garage. And my husband is a retired architect. So while I was running 2 clinics during the day, he was at home filling orders. And he would walk over to the
Wow.
post office with the, bag with a few orders on his
Hmm.
back. And so that was kind of his shtick for a while. And I actually have pictures from like our first Black Friday where we filled like 50 orders in a 2-day period, and the cars filled up, and it was like, oh, this is so exciting. And so eventually in the end of 2019, my daughter was working in a startup company, and she said, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't like how this she didn't like how the company was going. And she said, I got to find something else to do. And I said, well, NHP could use a little love. It had been in existence for 3 years. And I said, it could use a little love. Do you want to take it? She's a systems engineer by trade. I said, you want to take it over and see what you can do? She said, oh, that'd be cool. I'm going to be a COO at she was like 26 or 27. And so
Yeah.
I was like, sure, fine, whatever. And so she moved the company from New Jersey to North Carolina, rented a 1,200 square foot warehouse. And that girl knows what she's doing. Every single year she doubled the company. She
Wow.
she
That's
just
awesome.
because she knew the systems and she knows social media and she hired the
Hmm.
right people. So when I was ready to sell my clinics in New Jersey, I was like, oh, no more payroll. Yay! I don't have to worry about other people anymore. And then my daughter is building the company and building the
Oh.
company and building the company. I'm like, honey, I got payroll again. I got to worry about people. Like, I'm supposed to be
Yeah.
retired. So, but we ended up selling both clinics, moving to North Carolina, and we have close to 20 employees now. And the company is just going great guns. And so, like I said, things kind of are a little bit accidental. This
Yeah.
was, and I love it because it's supporting our retirement. Retirement. I work all the time,
Uh-huh.
but I don't work as hard as I used to in the clinic, so it is okay. So it's a little bit accidental. From my daughter's standpoint, it's not accidental. Like, she is very focused. She's
Hmm.
laser focused on what needs to be done, and she's made a very good team, which does make my life a lot easier. So that's
Yeah.
kind of how the ball got rolling.
Well, you mentioned food therapy. I'm kind of curious to learn a little bit more about that. Certainly, through my years of being a pet owner, it's not really common in traditional veterinary practice, other
Well,
than
they
just
have
kind of,
prescription diets that are really
yes,
horrible,
prescription.
made with
That's exactly.
horrible ingredients. Yeah, just
Yeah.
really bad.
So, how did you start integrating those approaches, and what's the response been from pet
Oh,
owners?
the response has been amazing. So, in my practice, Chinese medicine has 4 branches: acupuncture, most people know about; herbal therapy; Tui Na, which is sort of a combination
Mm.
chiropractic massage; and then food therapy, which not everybody knows about. So, everything that we eat has an effect on our body. So, think when you eat a hot, spicy jalapeno pepper, you start to sweat, everything's burning, and you're like, holy cow. Well, if you're me, you're holy cow. My
Me
son
too.
eats them like they're nothing. Um, and so that's adding heat to your body, and it makes you sweat. Our pets can't sweat, but it's going to cause other things. If you're hot in the summer, what do you go for? You go for ice cream, you go for watermelon, things that are going to be cooling to the body. So everything has effects. And so, like, there are foods that will help dissolve phlegm. So if you've got, all this stuff stuck in your head, like I've had for the past week, there are foods that we can eat. Clams are great
Okay.
for that. So different things that we eat or feed our pets are going to have an effect. So what started happening is people were coming to me for acupuncture, chiropractic, all these other things. And one of the biggest problems with human medicine as well as veterinary medicine is chronic disease. And the
Hmm.
chronic disease is fueled by over vaccination, overprocessed foods, same as in people, and overuse of antibiotics, chemicals, and in our pets, pesticides. Like we are feeding them
Mm.
pesticides and putting pesticides on their body all the time. We're destroying their microbiome. We're causing chronic inflammatory disease. And so when we go back to whole human grade foods, whereas all the highly processed foods on the pet market, most of the highly processed foods on the pet market are waste products from the human food industry. It's like,
Mm.
oh, look, we have all this waste stuff. What do we do with it? Oh, we can make money. We'll sell it to the pet food industry. It's awesome. And it works really well. And they have literally cornered the veterinary market and said, no, people have to put the same thing in the bowl every day. It has to be this highly processed because we've made it perfect. It's not perfect. It's really far
Right.
from perfect. So when I started having these animals with all these chronic problems and I learned about food therapy, it's like, well, you know what? Let me formulate a diet for your dog or a cat that is going to get rid of that inflammation, get rid of all that itching, get rid of all that redness, get rid of that inflammatory bowel disease, all these issues. So I would start just designing diets. And the clients were like, so I have to make this food? I'm like, well, for right now, yes, you have to make this food. Maybe eventually we can find something. And thankfully, there are so many good whole food pet food companies, smaller ones, that are coming on the market and doing things the
Hmm.
right way now. So it's changed, the scenario's changing a lot. But clients will be like, listen, I'm so tired of going to the vet and spending all this money and buying all these drugs, and my pets aren't getting any better. They still look like poo. And as soon as the meds stop, they're right back to where they started. So they were all in. And, within a few weeks, they're coming back going, oh my gosh, his ear infections are gone. His skin isn't red and itchy. He's not chewing on his feet all the time. Like he's not squirting things out of both ends. This is amazing. So people bought into it very quickly because the changes were so miraculous. And so my second, third, and seventh, or eighth books are all cookbooks for dogs based on food therapy. Like if you have an animal who's got heart disease, well, let's figure out, do we need something to, make the heart pump better? Do we need something to get fluid out of the chest? Like, what do we need to do? And we can design diets with ingredients in them
Mm.
that'll solve all those problems.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so now we actually I have 5 diets that are called constitutions because there's 5 elements in Chinese medicine. So the 5 constitutions. And I have a company, a really good company, that makes them commercially so people can buy them. I designed something called Pup Loaf and then eventually got Cat Loaf, which are available commercially, but you can also make them at home. Pup Loaf has been made around the world for the past 10 years and just, keeps our animals healthy, and we don't have all these chronic problems when we feed them correctly.
Yeah.
And, people who are willing to do that, those are also the people who are now questioning, why am I vaccinating them every year? Does that make any sense? It makes no sense at all. Wow, feeding pesticides to my dog. Yeah, that makes no sense. Why am I doing that? And so we're getting people to ask questions, and that's really what Naturally Healthy Pets and Dr. Judy Yu are all about. It's education and empowerment for pet owners so that you don't, you're standing there in front of Dr. Whitecoat and you're like, oh, he says I have to do this, and I have to feed this pesticide to my
Mhm.
to my pet or he's going to die. And it's like, maybe you don't. So, we're giving people the tools to be able to ask the right questions,
Yeah.
and really be their pet's advocate because nobody else is going to do it for you.
And you have such a strong values-led brand. Um, what do you think is something people might not realize, kind of behind the scenes, about building this kind of business?
So I am brutally honest, and people love it when I get on a soapbox. Like when I'm on social media and I'm like angry about like a new drug comes out, I'm like, ah, and people love that because they know that I'm not trying to sell them something. I'm trying to give them information. The sales just come up kind of naturally and automatically because I'm very passionate about what I do.
Hmm.
The other thing is we probably have about 700 SKUs in our warehouse, and we work with a lot of small startup companies that are making new natural products that are just amazing. So we probably get samples delivered to us 2 or 3 times a week from different
Yeah.
companies who want to get their products in our warehouse. And I would say we probably take 1 to 5%. Like
Hmm.
it's very low.
Right.
Uh, because you might have an artificial ingredient in there, you might have a rendered ingredient in there, you might have a dye, you might have something in there that just is enough for us to go, ugh. The other thing is we help bring those companies along. So if a small company has an amazing product, we're like, "Ugh, we're all over this." And
Hmm.
so, we don't charge those companies to do social media for them. We're literally doing the social media about their product because we're going to make something off the product and we're going to help all these pets. So, and then we're like, yes, please feel free, use this content for your brand because we want to help you. You're helping us.
Right.
We also are really picky about the integrity of the people behind a company. We have had companies where they've done something a little shady, and we're like, you're out. So we know the owners of these companies that we work with. The same with pet food. Any pet food company that we're going to recommend, it's because it's something I'm willing to feed to my own pets. It's something that I approve of the ingredients and I approve of the people making it and promoting it. We've had companies that we just absolutely will not deal with because we don't like the integrity behind it. So I think the brand has grown because people trust the honesty, the integrity, the passion, um, and really the vetting of the products.
Hmm.
So I think that is really what's helped the growth.
You and I were talking a little bit about AI before we went live. So one thing that I don't know if you necessarily have, if it's even relevant to you, is when I think about a company like yours, though, especially with when people, as you said, see the results of experiencing your products, when you try it, it's kind of sells itself. But is there, I mean, obviously for everybody, it's really about getting in front of the right people at the right time. Have you guys explored ways to connect with others through, AI, like helping identify leads or outreach or and out automating any parts of your process?
Well, I mean, so we have like automated email funnels. Uh, and like on our website, it's, somebody's looking at this product.
Hmm.
Oh, well, if you're looking at that, you might be interested in
Right.
this. Those kind of, I hate to call them upsells because we're not really trying to sell. We're trying to help people
Yeah.
pick,
Yeah.
what's going to
You
be the
know what
best
they're
thing.
interested in. Yep.
Right.
Hmm.
So, and is that AI? Well, that's our program using algorithms and trying
Hmm.
to pick. So technically, yes. I mean, I guess that all falls under AI.
Yeah.
Um, where we don't use AI is in our social media.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm waiting for it's like everything else. A new drug comes on the market or a new product comes on the market. I'm like, call me in 5 years after I see how this is affecting the
Right.
animals
Yeah.
and those using it.
Hmm.
And so we're really kind of that way with AI. It's like, I mean, and I was telling you beforehand, we've had a couple of very bad experiences with AI where somebody stole my image, stole my videos, and put
Hmm.
a different voice over it, promoting products that I would absolutely never promote.
Hmm.
And first of all, finding those, like people are sending me these videos going, I can't believe you would promote this. I'm like,
Oh, right.
okay, you're not smart enough to figure out that that's AI, but thanks for letting me know.
Right.
Finding those can be very difficult, and then getting them to cease and desist is not easy. And this particular one, they had like 8 different videos out, so we had to do a cease and desist on every single one of them. and
Hmm.
and they're being made overseas, and it's we don't have any control over what's happening overseas. So until AI like really becomes safer,
Yeah.
we're very leery. So we're kind of sitting back now. With that said, that's my daughter running this company. My son is like Mr. AI. He's making AI videos. He's writing AI books. He is like all about the AI.
Those
So
should make for some fascinating family conversations, I'm
sort of.
sure.
We don't talk about a lot of things when they're together.
Yeah, I was saying, telling you this before. One of the places as a business owner, I've certainly found tremendous value is in identifying people who can be partners in what you're doing. And the AI can just kind of serve behind the scenes to connect you with them, not actually replace the human part of it, because that's where you'd step in. But I've definitely found huge value there. And also kind of filling in the gaps of in like day to day, like repetitive tasks that just seem like, am I using my superpower to do this task? If not, is there a more automated way? Fine. It's not going to interact with people, but it kind of behind the scenes. Have you guys explored any ways to delegate or automate things more effectively like that?
I'm the wrong person to ask. It's funny because since my daughter took over, we jokingly say that I'm the talking head now. I literally, it's like,
Yeah.
here, we want you to talk about this. Okay.
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
feed me the
Well, that's your
information.
superpower.
That's
Yeah.
my superpower is
Hmm.
being in front of the screen. So I do not deal with any of the day to day. Like we collaborate a lot with uh, other people in other veterinarians, other doctors, other leaders in the holistic pet space. So we do a
Hmm.
ton of collaboration, and we kind of know who our group is. I'm sure there are more people out there that we could connect with that we don't really know about yet. But a lot of those people are the people who are still kind of at this, I'm
Right.
starting in this field, and and we've helped some of those people move from down here to really being at the top of the list of
Yeah.
people to go to. Um, so I'm sure there are people out there that we don't know about. And as far as using AI for client generation, people to be on our website, um, again, we do very little advertising for the size of our company. Our advertising budget is about this big.
Hmm.
Um, but anytime we're using algorithms, or it's not us, we have a PR firm. Anytime the
Yeah.
PR firm is making ads and putting them out there, I
Hmm.
mean, basically it's using AI and algorithms to find those people
Define them. Yeah.
who
Connect you with
fall
the.
who fall
Yeah.
in this age
Hmm.
range, this demographic, blah blah blah. So while I say we are not using AI, I am not using AI.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, there are a lot of parts and pieces that are using
Hmm.
AI.
Yeah.
And again, I want AI to be around for quite a while, and I want to see the positive side. Um, I don't want to see my face on videos that are not
That's a
ours.
yeah, that's a whole nother problem to
It
manage. I
is.
don't know. It's going to take people way smarter than I am to figure out how do we work around that. I mean, your client though, really, your end client is just the pet owner,
Mhm.
right? Now you said you work with some other, yeah, kind of maybe we'll call them up and coming vets or people interested in the space, but that's you really, I mean, to a large degree, you helping them. Or there's the people who are making product that want to get in
Right.
front of you and see if you can help them
Right.
sell their product.
But we work
Yeah.
with a lot of people who are, it's funny. The first time I was called an influencer, I was like, a who, a what? But we work with a lot of other influencers who have large platforms.
Yeah.
So, we do a lot of, podcasts back and forth
Hmm.
between. So, one of the ways that we grow our audience and they grow their audience, like a lot of people want me to be on their podcast because they're like, oh my gosh, you've got this huge email list and you've got this huge following.
Right.
And so they're hoping that we'll get them in front of our audience.
Hmm.
But we also work with other people who have huge followings to get me in front of their audience. Uh, so there is a lot of collaboration within the space, which has been great and
Yeah.
amazing.
So if you were to look ahead 6 to 12 months from now, like what's your vision of next level growth look like for you or for naturally healthy pets?
It's really hard to say. Right now, our biggest problem is we're out of warehouse space and
Mm.
finding. So the 1,200 square foot warehouse that we had for 2 years jumped to a 7,000 square foot warehouse. After two
Wow.
years, we had to go out and rent a second building with 2,500 square feet for our content team so that we could expand within the
Hmm.
warehouse. And we're now trying to find a 15,000 square foot warehouse, which we can't find. So we're looking at building, but it's going to take 3 to 5 years to build that.
Wow.
And so right now we're sitting here with our 9,500 square feet, but our team is split in two buildings. They're only a few hundred yards apart, but still they're split, and that's not great. My daughter runs
Yeah.
back and forth between the two. Um, so that's our biggest
Space.
challenge
Yeah.
right now
Hmm.
is space and growth. And I mean, she's just done such a great job making the company grow that it's like, yeah, this is a
Hmm.
good problem to have, I think. But then we have a space, and I'm like, I don't want the overflow in my garage. Like it's just, it's so that's
Well,
the
I
next
mean,
six.
it's evidence you've created or she's created, somebody's created amazing opportunity, and that just is right now space is your bottleneck.
Yeah, so
But
that's our bottleneck for
yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Um, you know, I don't think I'm ever going to get to retire, which is okay. Uh,
As long as you're loving what you're doing, you don't need to
well,
retire.
I'm still really passionate about it. So there
Yeah.
are weeks when I'm like, could I have a little less time in the studio? Um, but I still enjoy writing. So I've written 9 books, and I don't think that'll ever stop. There's
Yeah.
always something to write about. Um, and I'm just really passionate about what we're doing. And when my
Hmm.
daughter moved to North Carolina originally, when she graduated from college, she didn't have a job. She just said, "I'm going to go to the Triangle Research Area." She'd never even been here. She said, "I want to go to the Triangle Research Area because I want to work for a startup company that's going to give back to the world."
Hmm.
And so she did, until she couldn't deal with the investors with the company. Um,
Right.
and since she left, that company went bankrupt. Kind of shows you should have been a little
There
nicer
you
to
go.
her. They were at one time valued at 80 million,
Oh
and
my
after she
goodness.
left, they went bankrupt. Uh, not a good deal. Um, so
Wow.
uh, when she took over Naturally Healthy Pets, she said, "Well, this is great. I'm working for a startup, and we're giving back to the world, and we're making a difference." And so the company's grown so much and I'm kind of aging out, and I'm like, Gwen, like we get offers every week, sometimes every day, to buy our company. Everybody wants to buy this company because it's
Hmm.
growing rapidly. It's a good company,
Yeah.
and about once a month I'll say, Gwen, it's a time to sell. Like, I'll split the money with you. Like,
Hmm.
we can both go on our way and do whatever we want. And she's like, I will never sell this company. This company is your legacy. It's going to be my legacy. It's going to be my daughter's legacy. And we are giving back to the world. We are doing something good.
It's
And
true. Yeah.
if we sold it, we can't guarantee that whoever bought
No.
it would continue to do the same. And we see this in the pet industry all the time, particularly in the pet food industry. If you're a small startup pet food company and you
Hmm.
you get up to 5 million and you're doing well, you're going to get bought by a bigger company, and it all looks great until they change the ingredients and they cheapen
Right.
it, and it's all about the bottom line. We're seeing it in the veterinary industry. Uh, the biggest owner of veterinary practices in the country is a candy company, and it's
A
not a good
candy
thing.
company.
Mars.
Really?
Mars Candy Company has Mars Pet Food,
Uh,
and they are second in sales only to Purina, and not by much. They're very, very close. And they own 2/3 of the specialty and emergency clinics in the country.
hmm.
Talk about price fixing. You don't have a
Yeah.
choice. They own a lot and it's corporate owned. So when a veterinary practice is sold from a private owner like me, and it goes to corporate, luckily I didn't have to sell to corporate. It gets sold to corporate. Now all of a sudden, it's all about the bottom line, making money for the
Hmm.
corporation, and
Yeah.
They want this cookbook medicine. And if your veterinary clinic is owned by Mars, what pet food do you think you're going to have to push? And
Yeah.
pet food made by a candy company is not the top of the line.
I can only imagine.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's become a big problem. But naturally healthy pets will live on because we're doing the right thing. We're very passionate about doing the right thing, and I think that's the most important thing. And that's what I tell young entrepreneurs. And my dad was an entrepreneur. My son has started multiple companies. I mean, it's just kind of, I guess, runs in the family.
Kind of in your
Um,
blood.
but I tell people, listen, if you're just like looking to make a quick buck and you say, oh, look, that person's like, my grandfather was a new and used furniture salesman. He was very successful. My grandfather probably could have sold anybody anything. He did multiple farms over his lifetime, and then he did a general store, and then he did the furniture store. And so my aunt married this guy, and he looked at my grandfather and said, "Oh, he's making big money, in his little furniture store. I'm going to do the same thing because I'll make big money."
Mhm.
And it's like, eventually he was successful, but it wasn't because he was passionate about furniture. It was just he stuck to it long enough. Um, but for most people, if you're just doing something because you're like, "Oh, I can make big money doing that," you're probably going
Mhm.
to fail. If you are not passionate about
Right.
whatever it is that you're trying to sell, and like, I'm not trying to sell, I'm trying to educate. And if I have a product that is going to help your pet, great. That's great. You can trust that I chose that product because it's going to do something good for your pet.
Mhm.
um or you don't have to buy anything from me and you still have just this wealth of information available. And that's fine too. And we have to meet people wherever they are. And
Yeah.
so, like, my dogs are on, organic, whole food, gently cooked or raw. Like, it's expensive stuff. I get it. Not everybody can do that. So let's figure out where we can meet you in the middle with that. Like, even this is one of the problems with corporate medicine. It's, you got to meet people where they are. Not everybody, like, I watched a reel yesterday, 3 veterinarians, and they were given this premise: a puppy comes in with bloody diarrhea. What are you going to do, and how much is it going to cost the owner? So the first veterinarian gets on and says what he's going to do, and it's going to be outpatient. It's probably going to be about $350. Next veterinarian comes on and says, well, this is what we're going to do. And it was more of a, we're going to hospitalize it for a night or two, and it's probably going to be $1,500 to $3,000.
Mhm.
Okay. The next one comes on, and they're at this high-powered, highfalutin clinic, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to do plasma transfusions and this and that and
Oh,
that and
goodness.
that. It's going to be in the ICU, and it's going to be $5,000 to $7,000."
Mm.
You're the pet owner with a new puppy, and you're like, "Oh my gosh! Like, I just bought the
Mhm.
dog. I wasn't planning on spending $7,000 the next day."
Right.
Uh, and so, unfortunately, with corporate medicine, a lot of times it's, nope, you got, this is the box. This is the only box we have. It's like, maybe the client needs the box over here. Um,
Mhm.
so, things are changing in the industry, not necessarily for the better. And from our standpoint, just giving that education to the pet parents, empowering them so
Yeah.
that they can make that right decision. Like, do I need to spend 7,000, or can I spend 350?
Well, I mean, from the business owner perspective, I think you hit the nail on the head. You got to have passion or mission oriented, because
Yep.
if you don't, 100% guarantee there are going to be a lot of obstacles along the way,
Yep.
and you won't be driven to figure out how to bust through those
No.
if you don't truly care. Yes, I
Exactly.
think you're spot on. Thank you so much. I mean, it's been such a fascinating conversation. I know what I'm going to do after this is go check out ways to get my pets even healthier. So have you just inspired
DrJudyMorgan.com.
me?
Really simple.
Uh, Yeah, I was going to say, what's the best way for people to find you?
So we are on all social media as Dr. Judy Morgan's Naturally Healthy Pets. The website is either naturallyhealthypets.com or drjudymorgan.com. They both get you to the same place. On there, we have a link to Dr. Judy U, or you can go directly to drjudyu.com, where we have courses available to help educate people. I've got 9 books that are available on Amazon, on our website, covering a lot of different things. But the goal really is to help pets live longer, healthier, happier lives, which we know that makes people happier and healthier,
Mm.
because our pets have
Exactly.
such an effect on our own well-being. And
Yeah.
they're members of the family now. They're it's not the dog tied out to the chain
100%.
in the
Oh
doghouse
God.
anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sleeping in the bed. Probably not a good thing, but whatever.
Oh, I've got 3 in my bed, so
Yeah,
yeah,
okay, good.
I can't roll over at night. Yeah.
At least mine are small, white little, but it's amazing the amount of space that they can take up. So,
Ours are 10 pounders, and
yeah,
they take up a lot of that king size bed.
they seriously do. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your perspective. Love your journey. Love what you are doing, and thank you for sharing your passion with us.
Thank you very much for the invitation.